You already know this monster. You have seen her 100 times, and you have always seen her the same way, from behind a raised sword. A snake-haired horror hissing in the dark. A nest of vipers where a woman's hair should be. A face so hideous that one look turns you to solid stone. She is the thing at the bottom of the dungeon, the boss at the end of the level. The Gorgon the hero has to creep up on and behead so the music can swell and the story can call it a victory. You met her in a movie, maybe, or a video game, or a book of Greek monsters, and every single version told you the same thing. This is the monster. Kill it and you are the hero. Now let me show you the real one, before the snakes, before the curse. There is a young woman, mortal and by every account strikingly, dangerously beautiful, kneeling on the cold floor of a temple. She is crying. Something has just been done to her in a holy place by someone far more powerful than she is. And in a moment, the goddess whose temple it is will walk in, take one look at the mess, and decide that the person to be punished is her. Not the god who did it, her. That is Medusa. And here is the thing that should stop you cold. In the version of this story most people are quoting when they call her a monster, Medusa did nothing wrong. Nothing. She is not a villain who got what she deserved. She is a victim the gods punished for surviving what was done to her, and then we spent 2,000 years cheering the man who cut off her head. By the end of this, I think you are going to understand exactly why we did that, and it says far more about us than it ever said about her. But I have to be honest with you right away, the way this channel always is, because the truth here is tangled. There is not one Medusa. There are at least two told 700 years apart, and they do not agree. The sympathetic Medusa, the beautiful, wronged woman you are picturing, comes mostly from a Roman poet named Ovid, writing around the year 8 in his great poem The Metamorphoses. That is the version that gives us the temple, the beauty, the injustice. It is late. It is Roman. It is, in some ways, one poet's reinterpretation. Go back further, 700 years further, to the oldest Greek source we have, a poet named Hesiod and his poem The Theogony, around 700 BC, and you find a completely different creature. In Hesiod there is no beautiful girl, no temple, and no punishment at all. Medusa is simply one of 3 monstrous sisters, born that way, daughters of ancient sea gods, monstrous from birth. No tragedy, no injustice. Just a monster who happens to have a name, so which one is true? Neither exactly. They are myths, and myths mutate. But that gap matters, and I am not going to hide it from you. The Medusa we now hold up as a symbol of a wronged woman is largely Ovid, plus our own modern eyes reading him. The archaic Greeks mostly just saw a monster. Both of these are real threads of the tradition, and the fight between them, monster or victim, is the whole story. So let me tell you both, honestly, and let you feel why the second one is so hard for us to look at. Start with the oldest version because it is the one we were built on. In Hesiod, Medusa is one of 3 sisters called the Gorgons, Athena, Uriel, and Medusa. They are the daughters of 2 ancient sea deities, Phorcys and Sida, primordial things out of the deep, and their sisters and cousins in that family are all shapes of dread gray hags who share a single eye between them, monsters coiled at the very edges of the world. In this telling, the Gorgons were never beautiful and never human. They were horrors from the moment they were born, living out past the edge of everything where the night is kept. But even here, at the very beginning, there is one strange, quiet detail the story never bothers to explain, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Of the 3 sisters, 2 are immortal, they cannot die, and only one is mortal, Medusa. Her 2 sisters will live forever, monstrous and safe. Medusa, alone among them, can be killed. She is the monster with a soft spot in her armor, the one horror in the family who bleeds and dies like a person. The oldest source we have already, without meaning to, sets her apart as the one who can be destroyed. Hold on to that, because someone is going to come and destroy her. Now the other version. The one Ovid gives us, and the one that has slowly taken over how the modern world sees her. In this telling, Medusa was not born a monster at all. She was a mortal woman, and she was beautiful, famous for it, so lovely that people traveled just to look at her, and loveliest of all was her hair. She was a maiden, and in the way the story is most often told, she served in a temple of the goddess Athena, Minerva, to the Romans a priestess, sworn to the virgin goddess, living a quiet, devoted life in a sacred place. And then a god noticed her. Poseidon, Neptune, god of the sea, one of the three great brothers who rule the world. He wanted her. And what he did inside Athena's own temple. I am going to tell you this the honest way, without dwelling on it and without dressing it up. Poseidon raped her there, on the floor of the goddess's sacred house. It was an assault. She did not choose it. It was done to her by someone she could not possibly refuse or resist. And then Athena came home. The goddess walked into her temple and found it defiled, her holy place violated. And here is the moment the whole tragedy turns on. Athena was enraged, but she would not turn that rage on Poseidon. He was a god, one of the great powers, you do not punish him. So she turned it on the one person in the room she could punish. The victim. Athena took Medusa's glory, that beautiful hair, and twisted every strand of it into a hissing snake. And she cursed her eyes, so that from that moment on, anything that met Medusa's gaze would turn to cold gray stone. Think about what that curse actually is. She was punished for being seen. Her beauty had drawn a god's violence, so the goddess made her unlookable, deadly to be looked at. The very thing that was used to hurt her became the thing everyone would flee from. She did not become a monster because she was evil. She became a monster because of what was done to her, and because the powerful needed somewhere to put the blame that was not themselves. So Medusa goes away. Where else can she go? Anything she looks at dies into stone. She cannot be near a single person she loves without killing them. She goes to the edge of the world, to a lonely place, and she lives there among gray shapes, because of course the world does not leave her alone. Once people hear there is a monster whose gaze turns men to stone, the heroes start arriving, one after another, each one certain he will be the one to kill her and make his name. And her cave fills up with statues. A garden of stone men, frozen mid-swing, who came to murder a woman they had never met. That is her life now. That is what the punishment made of her. And it is into this exhausted, cursed, grieving woman, ringed by the stone bodies of men who came to kill her, that our hero finally comes. His name is Perseus. And I want you to notice why he comes for her, because it is not what the movies imply. He is not on a noble quest to rid the world of evil. It starts, like everything else in this story, with a powerful man abusing his power. There is a king named Polydex, and he wants Perseus's mother, wants her in a way she does not want him, and Perseus keeps getting in the way. So the king sets a trap. He throws a great feast and demands a gift from every guest, knowing full well that Perseus is too poor to bring one. And when the young man is cornered and shamed in front of everyone, the king springs it. Fine, bring me instead the head of the Gorgon Medusa. It is meant to be a death sentence. It is a scheme to get an inconvenient young man killed so that a powerful one can have his way with the young man's mother. That is the errand. Medusa is not the villain of Perseus's story at all. She is the weapon a bad king reaches for to solve a problem that has nothing whatsoever to do with her. But Perseus does not go alone. The gods take an interest, and notice which gods. Athena, the same goddess who cursed Medusa in the first place, now arms the man coming to kill her. She and Hermes outfit him the way a hero should be outfitted, winged sandals from Hermes to fly, an adamantine blade unbreakable to cut, a cap of darkness that makes whoever wears it completely invisible. And here is a detail I love because it quietly ties two of our stories together. That cap is the helm of Hades himself, the cap of invisibility from the Lord of the Dead. And most important of all, from Athena, a shield polished to a mirror, because everyone knows the one rule: you cannot look at Medusa. Meet her eyes and you are stone. So Athena's gift is the trick that beats her. Do not look at her. Look at her reflection. Fight her as an image in a mirror, never as a face. And that is exactly how it is done. Perseus flies to the edge of the world, invisible under the helm of Hades, and he finds her asleep, not raging, not hunting, sleeping, and watching only her reflection in the bright curve of the shield, so that her eyes can never catch his. He raises the unbreakable blade, and he cuts off her head while she sleeps. Sit with the shape of that for a second. The great heroic deed, the one every retelling calls a triumph, is a man made invisible by the gods, creeping up on a cursed, sleeping woman, and beheading her without ever once looking her in the face. And then something happens that the monster story can never quite explain away. Because when the blade comes down and the blood of this so-called monster spills out, life springs from it. Out of her severed neck rise two children. One is Chrysaor, a warrior with a golden blade, and the other is Pegasus. The white-winged horse, that Pegasus. The most beautiful creature in all of Greek myth, the horse with wings that heroes dream of riding, is born out of the blood of Medusa's cut throat. They were her children, hers and Poseidon's, carried all that time. Even in her death, even at the lowest, most violent moment of her whole story, what comes out of Medusa is not more horror. It is life. It is beauty. It is a winged horse climbing into the sky. A real monster's death gives you relief. Hers gives you a legend with wings. But her story does not even end at her death, and this is the part I most want you to hear, because it is where the whole meaning turns inside out. Perseus takes the head, and it turns out that even severed, even dead, Medusa's gaze still works. She is still in death, doing the only thing the curse ever let her do. So Perseus uses her. He carries her head like a weapon across the rest of his adventures. When the Titan Atlas refuses him, he lifts her face and turns Atlas into a mountain of stone. When a sea monster comes to devour a chained princess named Andromeda, he uses the head to turn it to rock and saves her. When his enemies close in, again and again, out comes Medusa's face, and his problems harden into statues. The woman who was murdered for a gaze she never asked to have becomes, in death, the deadliest tool a hero ever carried. And then at the very end, Perseus gives the head back, to Athena, to the very goddess who started all of this. And Athena fixes Medusa's face onto her shield, onto the aegis, the great divine shield, forever. Now, you could hear that as one last insult. But here is what the Greeks actually did with it, and it is extraordinary. That face, the Gorgon's face, teeth bared, snakes writhing, became one of the most powerful protective symbols in the entire ancient world. They called it the Gorgoneion, and they put it everywhere. On shields to guard soldiers, over doorways to guard homes, on city walls, on armor, on ovens and cradles and coins, the face of Medusa, carved as a ward to turn away evil. Scholars even have a word for this kind of image. Apotropaic, a thing whose whole job is to repel harm. Do you feel what happened there? The face they taught you was the monster, the face the hero had to destroy, became the face people carved onto their own front doors to keep their children safe. The victim, in the end, became the guardian. The thing you were told to fear became the thing standing watch at the threshold, protecting the ones inside. So let me ask the question this whole story has been circling. Why? Why did we take this one, a mortal woman, assaulted by a god, punished by a goddess for the crime of having been a victim, murdered in her sleep by an armed hero on the errand of a petty king, and remember her as the monster? Why is she the thing to slay and not the thing that was wronged? And I think the honest answer is uncomfortable, so I am just going to say it plainly. We love a monster we are allowed to behead. We do. It is clean, it is satisfying. There is a horror and a hero and a sword, and when the head comes off we get to feel brave and good. What we do not love, what is almost unbearable, is the other version. The one where there is no monster at all. Where the powerful ones, the gods, the king, are the ones who did the real harm, and the person we were cheering the hero for killing was the person they had hurt the most. It is so much easier to draw snakes on her and call her evil than to admit she was cursed for surviving what a god did to her. And here is why this is not just an old story. Because that move, taking the person something bad was done to, and slowly turning them into the thing to be feared, we still make it. All the time. You have watched it happen. The person who was hurt gets whispered about until, somehow, they are the problem, the difficult one, the one who is too much, while the powerful person who did the hurting keeps their shine. We would rather have a monster to blame than a victim to protect, because the monster lets us off the hook and the victim asks something of us. But look again at where Medusa actually ends up. Not slain and forgotten, her face on the doorway, her face on the shield. The oldest, deepest use anyone ever found for her was not to fear her, it was to be protected by her. In the end, the thing you were taught to run from was standing guard over the people inside. She was a protector all along. So here is what I want to leave you with, and I genuinely want your answer down in the comments. Think of a story you were told about a monster in history, in a myth, or honestly, in your own life, in your own family. A person everyone agreed was the bad one. And ask yourself the Medusa question. What would that story look like told from her side? Who actually did the thing she got blamed for? And who decided she was the monster, and what were they protecting by deciding it? Tell me. I read them. Because the next time you see her on a screen, snakes hissing, a hero raising his sword, I hope some quiet part of you thinks, wait, I have heard the other version now, and I am not so sure the man with the sword is the good guy at all.